Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Back in my hood. I actually grew up in New Jersey, so I feel like I'm back at home. I love this theme. There's a lot to talk about around it. How many people have been to Burning Man? Awesome. Okay. How many people have heard of it, know anything about it? Okay, awesome, great. Know who I'm talking to. So what I want to talk about today is the event, yes, but not the stuff you typically hear. I want to talk about some basic constructs underneath the event that are helping us become a springboard to changing the world, which is why we're all here, right? We found a couple of things that have been replicable and really applicable to people that don't ever go to Burning Man and perhaps never will. So the first one I want to talk about is the city design itself. For those of you who haven't been, in that horseshoe shape is where all the people live. And let's see, right there is the man, and out there is the temple. So the city design has evolved over time, but the thing that's really interesting is, first of all, it's made with wooden stakes and survey flags. That's how we define the roads. But as you notice, these radial streets, oops, I can do it here too, that come down, they all look towards a man. So everybody's experience when they're at Burning Man, sort of a tickle in the back of their psyche, is, wow, I'm at Burning Man. You kind of can't forget it. So I better enjoy every moment. I better be immediate. I better be here. I better be present. And it just kind of sinks into who you are, of course, until it burns on Saturday night. And then that's a whole other story. But the psyche, the design of always feeling like you're part of something is extremely important. Additionally, when you get to the big circle in the middle, when you get inside this area right here, you automatically feel like you're part of it. You know that space was made for you. It was made for you to share. It was made for you to be a part of something else. And we just stole those designs from, civilizations. You go to Italy, you go to Spain, you go to the Zoccolos and the piazzas, and there's a church in the middle and the space around. It's the same kind of thing. And so you kind of on a primal level know that you're there and it's for you. So that it jumpstarts immediacy, it jumpstarts your ability to get in and take part and see why you're there. Why are you there? It makes you start to think. The second construct I want to talk about, I'll spend a little more time on this one, is the 10 principles. We developed these in 2003 for our regional groups, which I'll tell you more about later. But our 10 principles are not rules, they're not dogma. They are principles that hang together. You can't really pull them apart or say this one's more important. They hang together, and they provide an opportunity for conversation, for checking in on somebody, for building trust, for starting a vocabulary much faster than you would in a normal situation. If you're sort of abiding by these principles and you've thought about them, you can start to have your conversations more quickly, which is extremely important. So I'm going to walk you through some of them. We don't have enough time for all of them, but I'll sort of take you through how I think about them and the ways they can build upon each other to be something that's replicable and can help change the world. The first one I want to talk about is radical self-expression. This should be the easy one, right? Like you do at Burning Man and you wear costumes. Well, in the early days, nobody wore costumes, but they did perhaps wear something that they wouldn't feel comfortable wearing elsewhere, like you always wanted to be a mermaid. Why not? Be a mermaid. Or you have this beautiful slip, but you never wear it at home. Well, it's really hot. Why don't you wear your slip? So what happens is you start to have a conversation, a dialogue with yourself about what's meaningful for you, what you want to share, who you want to be. And then when people start to react to you in a way that's different, it starts a really interesting conversation in your head, but oftentimes with other people too. And it's not based on the kinds of things that we do in this world, and the rest of the time we're spending not at Burning Man, where I kind of know who you are from 10 feet away, or at least I think I might, by the clothing you're wearing, or the way you're presenting yourself to me, what kind of shoes you have on, what you choose to wear at night, what you choose to wear in the morning. Those conversations don't really apply anymore. The next principle is radical inclusion. This one's a little bit more challenging because, let's face it, we live in a world of exclusion. There's always the special places you get to go, somebody else doesn't, or the places you can't go because you're not cool enough. Radical inclusion means everyone's invited. I know your moms and dads, my mom and dad taught me that. I was a good church-going family member. But it doesn't happen all that much these days. And it's hard to practice because you get a lot of people with different ideas than you. But if you take the time, and it's easy to miss this at Burning Man too. By the way, you could just stay with your friends in your camp and never go out and experience this. But if you take the time, what you get is the whole picture. the whole thing together, the things you didn't think were important, the things you never occurred to you. And when you have the whole picture, you can make better decisions. The next principle I would like to talk about really goes deep pretty fast. This is kind of my favorite principle at the moment. It's gifting. We all know that when you give a gift, when you really give a gift, you give it from the bottom of your heart. You give it not to get anything back, but because you want to give. And that just plain old feels good. Whether you're giving your art, whether you're giving somebody a ride on the playa in your crafted art car, to give regenerates, it spreads, it makes you happy, it brings out your altruistic feelings, and it makes other people feel the same thing. So whether it's just a well-needed meal on the playa, these guys drive around in drag, dressed up in character, and give everybody grilled cheese sandwiches. When you couple this concept of gifting with de-commodification, you're really hitting something that, to me, hits a vein. If you're in a transactional relationship with somebody, it really isn't about the thing anymore, is it? It's about, did I get enough money for that? Was it really worth me paying that much? And you don't think about the thing anymore. So if you couple the opportunity to leave behind really what we've grown up with, I mean, I never heard of really sharing without money being involved when it comes to living before I went to Burning Man. It starts to change things pretty significantly. This is one of the most beautiful gifts that was given to us as an organizer and as a creator of Burning Man. An artist came to our event and said, I'm going to build you a temple. I'm not only going to build you a temple, I'm going to build you a temple to people who have passed away in your lives. And what we realized by the response of all the participants at the event was, we don't have a good place to mourn anymore, do we? I mean, I was taught to do that at church, but I don't go to church anymore. And a lot of people don't have communities that they go to that help support them through those times anymore. And when you sit in a circle with 50,000 people after you've experienced this beautiful temple that was given to you as a gift that you can write on, you can create an altar in, and you watch it burn, you're really given something quite special. And it happens year after year, and it doesn't get any worse. It only gets better. The next principle that I really wanted to talk about was one that I've really kind of come to discover differently recently. That's radical self-reliance. It is very intense out in the desert. The dust storms, these pictures do not do the dust storms justice. You literally can't see the hand out in front of your face. It can be terrifying for people who have never been in them before. The rainstorms are extremely intense. The winds can't get to 80 miles an hour. And when you go through that, you learn where your boundaries are. You learn where your comfort zone is. You learn what you have to have. You learn you can do it. And you gain confidence in yourself. And once you gain confidence in yourself, hey guys, up here, it's not dusty, come on up here. You bring other people with you, right? You start to share that. And when you start to have confidence in who you are, know where your boundaries are, know what you can give, and you start to share it with other people, you're talking about community. Community is a hallmark. Most people will probably think art and community when they think about Burning Man. Like, what are these crazy people doing? They're actually pulling a Trojan horse in togas on the playa. It's kind of plain old fun. But what happens is when you're involved in your community at Burning Man, you're not valued by what your reputation is, what your status is, how much money you earned. You're valued by what you contribute. These people are volunteers that light our city every night. They dress up in procession, and they process through the city with a ceremonial donning of the robes, and they light the city every night. And in the morning at 6:30 in the morning, they get up and they pull the lanterns down and they do it again the next night. And that's really valuable out in the middle of the desert. I'm really happy to say that I know so many faces in this slide here. I've been doing this for 23 years. Burning Man's 28 years old, and I still know all these volunteers because they're doing it because they love it and they get something from it year after year after year. The last principle I want to talk about builds on community, and this is where we start to take that springboard out into the greater world. Civic responsibility. Why are you waiting for a week in the desert? Like, why don't you take it home? And what does it take for you to take it home? And how do you take it home? So people have been learning their lessons, becoming inspired, and taking it home for many, many, many years. And they take the lessons of how do you be in a crowd with a dangerous fire and not get hurt, and they're spreading it. They're building nonprofits, they're making for-profits. They're having loosely gathered groups of people that are doing civic jobs in their communities, to help children, to clean up beaches, whatever they can do that they're inspired to do to make their world a better place. So basically, the things that we learn sort of by accident and built upon are spreading around the world. And these two frameworks are giving people the ability to sort of take it with them when they go. And it's taking on a life of its own, truly. The Black Rock Arts Foundation was one of our nonprofits that we started. Then we had Black Rock Solar, and then we went to Burners Without Borders, and all these nonprofits that we started as we went along our road have now been gathered together under our new nonprofit, the Burning Man Project, and we're all united, and we've sort of centralized so that we can better decentralize. That's what I'm working on these days, and these are the principles we're starting to work with. We've grown into education. We know a lot now, and we want to share it. I'd actually rather see the word learning than education there, but and as I said, even the 10 principles that were made for this regional network, they weren't made for Burning Man the event. They were made so that people in Australia can have an immediate way of discussing things with people in New Jersey and have it make sense. That's how the 10 principles were founded. Taking on a life of their own. And it isn't good enough just to practice the 10 principles, but what does that mean? That means you're a nice person. That means that, why are you being bitchy to me? You know, so now the people are taking it upon themselves to make their own principles. And New York and LA have taken on the 11th principle of gratitude, which I think is fascinating because we were just talking about gratitude. All the speakers were talking about gratitude last night, so it's kind of going full circle. And I wanted to close by talking about this one project. This, the Artichoke organization is a nonprofit group that are in Northern Ireland, and the Catholics and the Protestants have been fighting in this small town for years and years and years and years, and they use fire as a weapon. They use fire to terrorize. They use fire to create boundaries and to show strength. And this group is working with the artist who created that temple I showed you, David Best, to create a temple in Derry, and they're going to burn it. And they're going to take back their fire. They're going to burn to heal and burn to unite. Protestant and Catholics are going to work on it together. And the UK government and the Irish government have put money into this along with all these other nonprofits. So we feel like we have some major backing behind this concept. And in order to make it be really successful, we took the 4 most engaged people from this nonprofit and brought them to Burning Man this year and had them have the first-on experience of building that temple, working with David, burning that temple, and they came back and they had an event they had to do. They had this music party that they had to get going. But what did they do? They took our principles: inclusion and participation, self-expression, leave no trace. They're taking our principles and just totally adopting them immediately without anyone asking them to or needing to tell them, and they're just doing it. So I'm, as you can tell, pretty enthusiastic about this crazy journey that we started so many years ago, just a bunch of artists trying to make something happen. And where it's taken, I've learned and grown so much through it, and I feel like it really closely resonates with the conversations I've had with many of you here today. So I look forward to seeing where my world fits into your world and how we can really realize this more fully together. Thank you very much.